live from the GHF Sports Radio studios in the GHF Sports Network from Atlanta, Georgia. You are in the Rant, presented by Guapaholic Entertainment. You can reach out to us on Facebook at facebook.com/James Lassiter, facebook.com/The Sports Gurus, until we change that name. You can hit up the show on Twitter at GHF Sports Radio, at Radio Guy 15, and at Mr. Payton. Thank you for being in with us today on a beautiful Sunday. It is good to be here on Championship Sunday, and we're going to get into that here in just a minute. Give you my take on the evening of Championship Sunday and how the Saints were shafted. We got a new studio here. Lights, timers, bells, everything, everywhere. It'll be fun learning how this, everything gets into work. We got some music we got coming in through Foreign and Mr. Payton. They're going to get all that squared away for me. And hopefully they'll add me some lyrics in there, but we haven't gotten that far. So I got to get a few things off my chest, so y'all give me about 5 minutes to get this out. There's a lot of people who have supported me over the last 3 years as I've been working tirelessly to get the show off the road or off the ground and on the road. So y'all just give me just a few minutes to get this out there. One of the big things that's happened over the last year, I guess I can say, is I've had 3 major changes that happened. And I just felt it was time to make some changes. This show's been a baby of mine for about, at least the last 3 to 4 years. And I had to make some changes to make sure that this was the direction I wanted to go, because Chris sat me down one day, Mr. Payton, that is Chris. He sat me down and he asked me, it was probably about June of 2016, and I was sitting down with him, we were just talking, nothing major, but he said, let me ask you a question. And I said, what's that? And he said, are you on the path that you want to spend for the rest of your life? And the simple answer was no, I'm not. I had dreams and goals of having my own radio show for as long as I can remember, and at the end of the day, if you want to better your life or your situation or anything that you got going on in your life or your situation, it's up to you to make that change. So I went out and I started trying to turn my dreams into a reality, and it takes time whenever you're trying to build one of these things from the ground up. I got a team, but my team can only do so much. We still have jobs. We have, Chris works for a company, I work for a different company, and our schedules just don't match, I guess is the best way to say it. So whenever you're trying to build one of these things, I had to turn an entire bedroom into a studio, and it's taken time. It's taken a lot of time. I mean, I've been working just on this studio for about 6 months, I guess, and but another thing that happened is I got divorced, and trying to make everything work for the kids, which was my main focus. My main goal is to make it as easy for the kids. You don't want to bring kids into adult situations. And, so we had that, and I started a new job, got my own house, and it's been a journey. It's the best way to word it, I reckon. But I built a team to surround myself with very good people, very smart people, very strong-willed people, and I feel I have the best team in the world, and I'm excited to get ready to work for them every week. And so for that, the fans, the followers, my family, my team, especially my team, thank you for y'all's support. And that doesn't get said enough these days. Everybody feels like, they're entitled to something. That's just not how I'm wired. So, my producers and CEO of GHF is Chris Payton. You'll hear me refer to him as Mr. Payton. Foreign, he's the guy that handles all the music. He makes our music. He writes his own music. He writes his own songs. And everyone behind me and my dream, thank you. And now that I've gotten that out of the way, we can get to work and talk a little bit about sports. So I'm going to start. I had an entire different list order in the direction that I was going to go today. But yeah, so since it's championship Sunday and all the drama that happened at the end of that game, let me start there. So, simple answer is Saints got shafted. They did. They got shafted. But I'm not going to sit here and kill the refs, because whenever you are, well, the refs are human. They're human. They are. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You don't see things that you probably should have seen. And my biggest takeaway from this game was the Saints didn't do enough. They didn't do enough to win that game. And I'm not going to kill the refs for the Saints not going to the Super Bowl. They were up 13-0 after the first quarter. And they allowed the Rams to get back into the game. They had an opportunity to give them the knockout punch early in the second quarter and go up, 16, 20-0. And, the Rams ran the fake punt that got them the first down and extended, and they ended up getting a field goal. But, there were opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for the Saints to put this thing away, and they didn't. They allowed the Rams to stick around. And whenever you allow a team that talented to stick around, things like this happen. Games change late. And, you can blame it on the refs for missing the pass interference. And look, I get it. It was as blatant as could be. I don't know if there's anybody on the planet that is not a Rams fan that can sit here and tell me honestly, and even if you are a Rams fan, I don't know that you could look me dead in the eye and tell me that you truly believe that was a good no call. It wasn't. It was as blatant as can be, and they missed it. And, Sean Payton let them know. Sean Payton was chirping their ear off for about 15 minutes. And I believe he was still chirping their ear off in overtime. And after that happened, I was watching this thing live, and I said, the next one's going to be called. The next one will be called, and it was. It was the one in overtime down the middle of the field. I actually would not have called that one, but they did. But whenever you got Sean Payton chirping in your ears, the home team, the coach, just laying into you for 15 minutes, I'll be the first one to tell you, I would have called the next one too, even if it was debatable. So, but that's I'm not gonna crush the officials. I don't feel the officials are the difference in that game. And, you can take away many other opportunities. Like I said, that the Saints had an opportunity to finish off the Saints, and they didn't. So, with that being said, congratulations to the Rams. They stuck around, and they gutted it out and played for, I guess, about 65 minutes or however long into overtime they were, and got it done. But that was my biggest takeaway from that game is the Saints just didn't do enough, and so they're gonna go home, regroup, and come back next year. But as for the Rams, let me talk about the Rams for a minute. I believe the Rams are now going to win the Super Bowl. I don't care if they play the Pats. I don't care if they play the Chiefs. I don't care who they play. That defense, if they come to the Atlanta Superdome for the Super Bowl with the defense that they played tonight, oh yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I don't know if there's any other. I get it. You give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl. Anything can happen. I get that. But the defense they played tonight was outstanding. You're never going to stop a great player. It's just like you can't shut down LeBron. You can't shut down Steph. You can't shut down KD. You can slow them down. You can't stop them. But there's no way that you're going to shut them down because they're too great a player. And there's too many great players on that Rams team. Offense, defense, special team. I mean, that kicker, I swear that kicker can kick a mile. I promise you, he can kick the ball a mile. And the way that he puts those knuckleballs to where it looks like it's hooking to the right and then it comes back left, that impressed me. Never seen somebody that can do that regularly. He did it twice at the end of that Saints game, of the NFC Championship game. So, but there's too much talent on the Rams, and at least they have a decent defense. And that defense that they played tonight was way different than the defense that we saw on the first game that the Saints and Rams played, because they scored 80 points in the first game. 35-45, 45-35, right? 80 points, and they scored about half of that tonight. And whenever you get into these playoff stretches where you have to go on the road and beat somebody like the Saints, who are so good at home. And, and I'll admit it, I was wrong. I picked the Saints. I thought that there was no way in hell anybody was going to go into New Orleans and come out as a winner. I didn't think they would, and I thought that didn't matter who they played in the Super Bowl. The Saints play, in Atlanta every single year, and I said you could almost make the argument of it being like a second home, kind of like, the Georgia Dome, whenever it was the Georgia Dome, and now the Mercedes-Benz Dome that they have up there now, is almost like a second home for Alabama, because they play there sometimes twice a year, every year. And, it's almost like a second home, and, the Saints are used to playing in a dome. Their fans would have traveled well. And I said, there's no way the Saints lose. And they did. They allowed them to stick around, and they're going to go home. But, I digress into the point I was making, which is there's too much talent with the Rams. There's too much talent, and I understand everybody loves Mahomes. I get it. Mahomes is, and I love the Cowherd, the way Cowherd says it whenever he talks about Patrick Mahomes as being the new shiny toy. Everybody's falling in love with the new shiny toy. They love Baker Mayfield because he's a new shiny toy. And I just, whenever it comes to Patrick Mahomes, his team's great. Offensively. Defensively, I don't care what you say. Whenever you look at the numbers, the numbers at the end of the game, whenever the Chiefs are already up 40-14, they're giving up a lot of yards. But, I watched the first two drives against the old New England Patriots. I'm talking about they're out there in Canes, old, and they're just running down the field. And I believe that Jared Goff will make some plays, that Todd Gurley will run it well, and Anderson will run the ball well, open up play action pass, and I don't care if it's the Patriots defense. I don't care if it's the Kansas City's defense. I think they're just going to run up and down the field, and I believe that you could be looking at a Super Bowl. Depends on who gets there. In my eyes, if it is the Chiefs, I believe you could have a shootout because of how dynamic that offense is. If it's the Patriots, I think it's going to be a little bit closer. A little bit lower, not so much closer, but the scoring will be a little bit lower. But I just that Rams defense or offense is dynamic, and they can score quickly, and so can the Chiefs. They can score real quick. So that'll be interesting to see. I can't make a pick yet because we don't know what's going to happen in this AFC Championship game. I was watching it before I came on here, but I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, why don't you have it on while you're doing your show? But I got my notes on the screen. So, but yeah, that's my takeaway so far of the AFC Championship game is that the Patriots are running up and down the field. My takeaway from the Saints and Rams game was the Rams stuck around and the Saints didn't do enough to close it out whenever they had the opportunity to close it out, and they allowed them to stick around, and that's what happens if you allow teams to stick around. You You allow them to steal one from you, and I'm not going to kill the officials. I'm just not. Things happen. I get it. But that one was blatant, and that's my problem with the call, is just how blatant it was. He didn't even play. He played the receiver the whole time, and he didn't even turn around. He just laid a hit on the receiver, and he hit the receiver the ball was still 5 yards away from him. I may be exaggerating a little bit, maybe not. I say I'm not. But I mean, it wasn't even close. I can understand a bang bang, but it wasn't even close. It was just blatant. He just put a hit on the receiver. So that's my immediate takeaway from the AFC and NFC takeaway. AFC still going on, so I can't give you my complete takeaway. For those who don't know, and I'm gonna try to break this down as well as I can because it was a dual conversation. I joined Brian Badsuk, I think is how you pronounce his name, on the OST show Monday. He's out of San Francisco. You gotta check him out. He's on FCC Free Radio every Monday night from 4 to 6 Western Coast Pacific time, which is 7 to 9 our time on the East Coast. And we discussed a couple of things, and the big thing was that last night Boogie Cousins made his debut for Golden State, and he hadn't played a game in 357 days. I counted. January 16th, 2018 was his last game, and I broke down a few things from what an Achilles tear is for those who don't know, and I'm no doctor. I don't try to be a doctor, so I had to do my own research. I don't have a research team. I'm not cool like Gottlieb. So what is an Achilles tear? The Achilles is the thickest tendon in the human body, and it connects the calf muscle to the heel. And the Achilles is meant to stretch and absorb any sort of force, and it provides some force for power and running, jumping, landing, all those different things that a basketball player, an athlete would need. And that's why the Achilles tear is the worst injury a basketball player can have, because they rely on that Achilles. And upon further research, I determined that if you completely tear your Achilles, you can only recover to around 95%. So I dug a little deeper. Well, what does that mean? And so since we're all not doctors, and maybe some of my viewers are, but just picture a rubber band that stretches, it bends, you can fold it into a million times, and it stretches. So imagine that you have stretched that rubber band until it breaks. Well, that's what an Achilles tear. That's the best example for what an Achilles tear is. It's like a rubber band that is broken. So if it's broken, it's going to take some time to heal. You got to have the surgery and got to go through all the rehab and do all that, everything that goes into that. And I've never seen an Achilles tear and everything that goes into the rehab behind one of those. But I can imagine, since it took Boogie Cousins a year to come back from it, I can assume that it's pretty bad. So I did some research. What kind of players, what are the biggest players that had an Achilles tear, and how was their return? Well, Kobe Bryant. He was the first one. He's the obvious one. It's the most notable Achilles tear in the NBA. And his return over 3 years, he played 6, 35, and 66 games before retiring. Well, James, he's old. He had been in the league for 50 years. I get it. Yes, you're right. He was in the league forever. So let's go to Anderson Varejao. He wasn't quite as old as Kobe. He played 67 games over 2 years before he retired. But he was old too, James. You're right. So let's go into Chauncey Billups. He played 41 games over 2 years. Again, retired. The big difference in between Kobe Bryant, Anderson Varejao, and Chauncey Billups was the age. The age is a big part. Boogie Cousins he's not even 30 yet. Whenever all these injuries happened, they were mid, late 30s. So I personally thought, well, you know what? I have 3 fears or concerns whenever it comes to Boogie Cousins. So turns out they were all wrong, because if you watched him last night, he looked fantastic. He opened the game with a dunk. He was making passes. He gave Curry a no-look pass, gave him the ball right under the goal. He looked fantastic. And, my first thought was, whoa. Imagine if he had been in this system his entire life, or his entire career. There's no telling what he would have done. I mean, he was fantastic in New Orleans. He was fantastic everywhere he's been. But what I saw on Saturday night was fabulous. I did not expect that. But so the Achilles injury, the fact that you usually can't come back and get to 100%, I don't know if that's the case, because from what I saw last night, yeah, he looked like he's 100%. But my second fear or concern when it came to Boogie Cousins and the Golden State Warriors is he's a locker room disruptor, and he's always been a locker room disruptor. And as Brian said, he said, well, we already have one of those. His name's Draymond Green. He's right. I don't know how that's going to work, because if it gets down into the playoffs, it gets down into late game situations, how are they going to be able to coexist? That's a real big concern I have. And he has a tendency to get into fights with staff, fights with teammates, fights with other players, barking at officials. And he tends to be a little hard to coach and hard to play with. So that's a major issue when it comes to dealing with a player like that. And my final thought or concern about that is Boogie's always had to be the man for the most part. He was the best player on his team for years. And can he accept the fact today that he's not the man? Can he be a team guy instead of being a me guy? And he's going to want his touches. He's going to want his points. He's going to want his shots. He's going to want the attention. He's going to want to be the guy. But is he going to be okay stepping away and saying, I don't always have to be the guy? If I'm in there with the second unit, I can be the guy. But if I'm in there with KD, Steph, and Draymond, and Clay, I don't have to be the guy all the time. So is he going to be unselfish with the ball? Because that's one of the things that we fell in love with Golden State, was they were so unselfish when it came to moving the ball around. It was a thing of beauty. I try to stay unbiased when it comes to sports, but I'm a LeBron guy, right? So whenever you see Steph Curry having the success, you're like, no, I don't like that. I don't want him to be successful. But he is. And so, whenever you get into these situations where, they're moving the ball so wonderfully and it's beautiful, is he going to be a ball stopper? Is he going to be, is he going to be content with his new role? Or is he just going to go back to being the same old Boogie Cousins, which is one of the main reasons that he didn't get any free agent offers during the free agency period last summer? He actually had to call Golden State and basically beg for a job. It's like, take a chance on me. Take a chance. Give me a shot. And, this season in itself, he's taking a $20 million pay cut. I mean, usually he's making around 25. Well, he's making 5 this year. So he's gone to Golden State to try to fix his image. And the best example I used on Brian's show last week was Kurt Busch. We do live in the South. So, the Kurt Busch is kind of a common household name around here. But, for those of y'all who don't know, he was a hothead. He was he always had a bad attitude, got into fights, was very, just out of his mind sometimes. and he got fired from the team he was on, and then he went to another team and got fired from them. So he had to go through what we would call he had to fix his image. He had to repair his image. So he went to a team called Phoenix Racing. From there, he fixed his image. Next thing you knew, he got over at Stuart Haas, where he was back into a competitive ride. And next thing you know, he was his most recent contract is at Chip Ganassi. But he had to build his image, to rebuild his image, because it was so bad. I mean, I remember stories that if Kurt Busch doesn't clean it up, he's going to be out of the sport. And he's one of the best talents we've ever seen. But that's one of that's the best comparison I can use, is that Boogie Cousins is one of the best talents we've ever seen, but his image is damaged, not just because of his injury, but simply just the image. You get in a fight with teammates and staff, you get into arguments with coaches and getting into arguments with officials. And getting into arguments and fights with screaming at fans. What are you doing? Act like you belong for just 1 minute. Just one. Just get to the locker room, take a deep breath, and then get out of there. Go have yourself a drink and forget about it. And I understand the whole, it was the heat of the moment, the passion. I get it. But sometimes you just got to chill out for a minute. And that's one of the things that I tell people all the time is, just take a deep breath. It's going to be all right. I promise you. It'll be just fine. So those are the three big issues. And the other thing that I talked to him about is I had a theory on Nick Saban. So I want to transition into that real fast. And I'm not going to spend as much time as we did the other night on it, because if you want to hear my full theory, again, go to FCC Free Radio, the OST show. Brian, I am giving you a shout out tonight. So appreciate. You're welcome, buddy. While I was on that show, we ran through my Saban theory, and it was real simple. Nick Saban loses coaches just as much as he loses players. It's ridiculous. I mean, he'll have a coach come in for a couple of years, and they're like, you know what? I can do it on my own. I don't need you. Oh, really? Can you? Okay, we'll see. Go ahead. But this is the argument I get so much, and it drives me crazy when I hear somebody come to me with this argument of, they just don't pay their coaches enough. Really? So I did some research. The top two programs in the country on most years are Alabama and Clemson. So I pulled up the salaries of Alabama coaches versus Clemson coaches, and Clemson pays their coaches their assistants, not their coach. Dabo Swinney makes way more than this, but they're paying $5.7 million to their assistants combined. That's for all of them, and Alabama pays $5.2 million. So it's not the money. It's clearly not the money. So what is it that gets them out the door? I believe if it was about the money, Clemson would have the same issue. But Brent Venables ain't going nowhere. All their assistants seem to stick around. So what is it? Because, Mike Loxley, he's gone. Brent Kay, he's gone. Gaddis, he's gone. So what is it? Well, I'm glad you asked. In my eyes, and I spoke in depth with a good friend of mine down in Florida, and we kind of shot these ideas off each other. And I believe that there are two different types of coaches. I think one is a coach that needs a stepping stone. And, my examples for that is Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin. And they jumpstart their career or re-jumpstart their career after a tenure with Saban. Jimbo Fisher was with Nick Saban. He left. He moved on, ended up at Florida State. Now he's over at Texas A&M. He got a national championship while he was at Florida State. Kirby Smart has almost took down Saban the last 2 years in a row. If he could just get his players to play a full 60 minutes against Alabama, he would have beaten Alabama the last 2 years. And Lane Kiffin had, been all over the place. and then came to Alabama whenever he wasn't going to get a coaching job anywhere. And next thing you know, he's I believe I don't remember if it's FIU or FAU, but either way, it's the Owls. And then there's the coaches like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Swinney. They are the stepping stone. They created a culture that others want to buy into, and they want to try to duplicate it. Example, Bill Belichick in the NFL. A lot of people come to New England, and then they leave. They're like, you know what? I can do this. No, you can't, bro. You think you can, but you can't do it. The most successful person that has come from the Bill Belichick tree has been Nick Saban. Whenever they were in Cleveland together, that's the best person who's come from the Bill Belichick tree. And NFL wise, I have to say is O'Brien. I mean, he's had decent success, not a whole lot of success, but a little bit. So that's my two types of coaching. I mean, let's go through the Saban's coaching tree real fast. Jimbo Fisher, successful. Mark D'Antonio, he's been at Michigan State, I swear, for 30 years. Jim McElwain, he was at Colorado, then got that job at Florida, didn't pan out there. Kirby Smart, he was the longest tenured assistant for Nick Saban. I think he was there for 8 years. And, he was the only one who was able to put up with Nick Saban's crap forever. That, of all people, he should be the one who should have the most success, and he is. You have Will Muschamp. He was in Florida. From there, he went to South Carolina. Derek Dooley, Pat Shurmur, Jeremy Pruitt, Todd Grantham. We talked about Lane Kiffin. Steve Sarkisian, he's back in Alabama after leaving. He at USC, went to Alabama, went to the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons decided they wanted to fire everybody except for the head coach, so now he's back in Alabama. I mean, you look at the amount of success that comes from Nick Saban's tree. Nick Saban has jump-started some careers. Now, not everybody has panned out. Not everybody. I mean, I think Lane Kiffin's a coordinator. I don't think he's a head coach. Steve Sarkisian, I don't think he's a coach. Derek Dooley, no, he's not a coach. I mean, he may be a coordinator. I don't think he is. I mean, he's not ever really had major success. Kirby Smart, I mean, he's between Kirby Smart, Jimbo Fisher. I think those are the two best coaches that have come out of Nick Saban's tree. And, Dabo Swinney's assistants, they don't ever leave. I mean, they're going to have to bury Dabo Swinney and Brent Venables next to each other because they're never going to part ways, ever. So, but my theory is simply this. Like LeBron, Nick Saban is very hard on coaches. Very hard on coaches. I mean, he's demanding. He has this pursuit of perfection. He wears you out mentally, emotionally, physically. And most people can't handle the pressure. And for those who do, they move on to have further success. Again, going back to the tree, Kirby Smart and Jimbo Fisher. Kirby Smart should have beat Alabama for the last 2 years. Came up short. Jimbo Fisher, he's got a title with Jameis Winston. And if you can win with Jameis Winston, good hell, bless your soul. Because he likes to eat W's. I don't know how Jimbo Fisher ever got through to that kid. I don't. But, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with, coming from the Nick Saban tree. So that was my theory on the whole Nick Saban and Nick Saban, Alabama, why he can't keep coaches. I mean, the 5 minutes after Nick Saban wins the national championship, he's recruiting. I mean, he's on a plane the next morning going to recruit somebody from somewhere. I mean, that's just the way he's wired. And there's nothing you can do about it. That is Nick Saban. And, if you can put that amount of passion like Nick Saban does, goodness gracious, you should be the next Nick Saban. And, the closest thing, I believe, to the next Nick Saban, I believe, is going to be Dabo Swinney. And Dabo Swinney started his own culture. He didn't come from Nick Saban's tree. So, that was two of the big topics that we talked about on the OST show. And it was very insightful. It was a two-way conversation. It felt more like an interview. He was trying to get my input on how I felt about things, and then, we went from there. But, Brian's a smart dude. He's a smart dude. So if y'all get a chance to listen to him, y'all really should. And, he's just another guy. He was talking to me about this, actually on the show. He was like, I don't have a degree in mass communications. I have a degree in journalism. I can't pronounce names. Y'all should go check out the show simply to listen to him try to pronounce A, my last name, B, Aqib Talib. That was funny. It was great. It was fantastic. But, so I'm going to transition to a little thing that I love to do. For those of y'all who don't know me, I love lists. Absolutely. They're fantastic. I love doing lists. I love writing lists. I don't know why. Am I weird? Am I weird that I like lists? Maybe I'm a little weird. Who knows? But, I remember whenever I was a kid in school, I would write lists. I don't know why. I just did. So, I went through the top 10 needle movers in the history of sports. And what do I mean by moving the needle? I mean, what gets butts into chairs, in stadiums, in front of the TV, in front of radio? It is 2019. I don't know how many people listen to football games on the radio. I don't know. I don't. But, so what 10 athletes what 10 athletes were able to move the ratings? They were able to impact the ratings to the point of where you had to be there because this person's on or that person's on. So I made a list, and so I'm gonna go through my list. And like I said, y'all can reach out to us at GHS Sports Radio. You can email the show at GHFsportsRadio@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter. Hit us up. Tell me what you think. Floyd Mayweather's number 10 for me. Floyd Mayweather, whenever he got out there in that boxing ring, he was great at running his mouth. Very good. And whenever he got in that ring, he put them blinders on. He didn't care about anything else going on. And everything that he said for the 3 months leading up to the fight, he made it happen. And if he said he was going to knock you out, he'd knock you out. You couldn't catch him. There's no catching him. If you think that you're going to box with him for, 8-10 rounds, you're out of your gourd. You can't hang with Floyd Mayweather. At number 9, I have Tim Tebow / Johnny Manziel. The reason why I put both of them together is because whatever it is about these two, and they were not great athletes, they were not great quarterbacks, especially not in the NFL, but for whatever reason, they got everybody's attention. Especially with the Tebow Mania, or whatever it was called, and Johnny Manziel claiming before the draft that he's going to come wreck the league. I laughed, and then the money signs looking like a moron. But for whatever reason, we tuned into it. We loved it. We dug in. Serena Williams. I got Serena Williams at 8. Serena Williams, to me, is the most influential athlete in regards to she was a black female playing a white man's sport or a white lady's sport. And she was able to completely change. And her she's so much better than her sister Venus. It's absolutely amazing. And people just go to tennis matches or turn on tennis just to watch Serena Williams because it's absolutely beautiful what she does. At 7, I got Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds. And you can say what you want to me about steroids. Don't talk to me about steroids. If you talk to me about steroids, I will end you. I will. Baseball is the most boring sport on the planet. I'd rather watch golf than watch baseball. It's the same thing. Over and over and over. Walk, double play, strike out, inning over. Walk, double play, strikeout, inning over for 9 innings, for 3 hours. I hate watching baseball. I can't go to a baseball game. I can't watch a baseball game. I don't even want my son to play baseball. It's that boring. To me, it's brutal. And it's like, I'd rather somebody just gouge my eyes out so I don't have to watch baseball. But in the playoff time, for whatever reason, it gets my attention. I guess it's because there's a trophy on the line. But I find baseball to be absolutely, baseball's awful. And they tried to speed it up, and it's awful. It's absolutely brutal. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Those are my number 6. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Tom Brady has been to now 8 straight, and we thought LeBron James going to what did he go to, 7 or 8 straight finals? Tom Brady has been to 8 straight AFC Championship games. Oh well, he cheated, James. No, he didn't. Stop it already. He didn't cheat. There's no evidence of him cheat. Oh, well, he deflated footballs. No, he didn't. No, there's no evidence that he did anything to these footballs. And then, you want me to break something down for you? This is something people don't want to talk about. You know why? Because it kind of puts I'm going to put a pinhole in their argument right now. And their balloon, your argument's a balloon. I'm about to pop your balloon right now. Whenever they played the Colts a couple of years ago, what was that score at halftime? Can you remember? It wasn't that bad. Tom Brady put that whooping on them after they took those footballs into the locker room at halftime and reinflated them. Then he put a whooping on them. So your whole theory is on deflated footballs is, well, they were able to catch them easier and throw it. Well, you do realize that if you deflate a football, you can't throw it as far. And Tom Brady lit them up in the second half. So that argument's ridiculous. But, and Peyton Manning. I mean, Tom Brady's the best playoff quarterback, I believe, ever. I believe Tom Brady's the best quarterback ever. He might be the best football player ever. Because he's on the greatest team ever. With the greatest coach ever. And everybody wants to say, yeah, well, they're 5-3. 5-3. Just like this whole 3-5 versus 6-0. I don't need to hear that. I know what I see. What I see is Tom Brady wearing defenses out and just picking them apart. What I see is Peyton Manning looking at the defense. I don't know how many times I see, Omaha, and then he just lights them up. He just kills them. So those two right there, for me, I couldn't say one or the other. It had to be both. Then at number 5, I got Michael Phelps. Man, is he a fish? Is Michael Phelps a fish in a human form? I swear he's a fish. He's got to be like Finding Nemo. Because, Michael Phelps. Outside of his weed issue, Michael Phelps has just been, spotless his entire career. Has he ever been beaten? It's impressive. At 4, I got Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. Whoo! Let's not get too in depth on Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson would give you a show. Mike Tyson would absolutely give you a show. And whenever he would come into the ring, I don't care what he did. If he went in there, he'd bite your ear or whatever. It doesn't matter. Mike Tyson. And then, he's playing in Hangover movies now. It's fantastic. I love Mike Tyson. I absolutely love him. At 3, I have, surprisingly, for anybody who knows me, they know I love me some LeBron James. LeBron James has not quite had the impact that Michael Jordan had. I believe that here over the next 4 years, we're going to see just how big of an impact LeBron James had or has had on the NBA. I don't believe it's going to be quite the impact that Michael Jordan had. Matter of fact, I know it's not going to have quite the impact because there's too many stars right now to carry the league. You got Steph Curry, Draymond. You got Steph Curry. You got Zion's coming into the league, and we're going to talk about him here in just a minute. But you got Zion coming into the league. You got Steph Curry. You got Kevin Durant. Still got Russell Westbrook. You got all these young kids coming in. that are going to be able to withstand the fall off in viewership, I believe, whenever it comes to whenever LeBron finally exits. And then at 2, I have Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, he changed the game. He did. But I still don't see him as the best basketball player of all time. I still don't. Because analytically, LeBron's better. Statistically, LeBron's better. Michael didn't win anything before Scottie got there. He didn't win anything without Scottie. You know, LeBron went 6 with Golden State. With him and Matthew Della freaking Dova. I mean, I can just sit here and look at it. He's a better shooter from 2, a better pure shoot, better shooter from 3. Everybody wants to talk about 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. I swear, the next person who comes to me and says 6-0, I'm going to ask him to count to 7. I'm telling you, I'm starting to debate. I'm starting to question if these Michael Jordan people, homers, you know, can count to 7. Because I swear they stop at 6. And then finally, I have Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was without a doubt. I've never seen anybody be able to dominate a sport for as long as Tiger Woods did. What was it, a decade plus? And I'm really interested to see what he's going to do this coming weekend at the, I think it's Torrey Pines, the Farmers Insurance Open. Because last year, outside of the year that he won a couple of events, a couple of those small events, he won a major last year. And I want to see what, he's had some time off, and I want to see what kind of improvements he's done with his back, his knee, in between his head, in between his shoulders, or in between his ears. I want to see what kind of impact he's going to have this year. I'm not saying I don't think he'll chase down Jack. I think he's too late in his career. I mean, he's over 40 years old. But I would really like to see what kind of impact he's had. And I do have a few honorable mentions because, you know, I had to add two more because I love my list. I got Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. Woo, them two. I'm not getting in a ring. I'm not even going to look at them. If I see them, nope. Don't see you. Not looking at you. Because those two could put me to sleep real fast. And the way that they work a crowd, especially Conor. Conor is absolutely amazing. He is the best person whenever it comes to promos. He just talks. He's a talker. And he can talk and talk and talk and back you up. And Ronda Rousey, she had a stretch where, I mean, she was knocking people out in 12 seconds. Just done that fast. All these people would work all this time to fight Ronda Rousey and be done in 12 seconds. And then, you know, since again we are in the South, a lot of my viewers are from the South. Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch. These 3 people changed motorsports in general. Racing was, for the most part, you know, Richard Petty was along, and then Dale Earnhardt kind of changed it because Dale Earnhardt came in here with this "don't bleep with me" attitude. And, you know, you're either going to get out of my way or I'll wreck you. It doesn't matter. Jeff Gordon was the first one from outside of the Southeast to become a race car driver in NASCAR. He was from Vallejo, California. Started out in midgets. Dream was to be an IndyCar racer. Next thing you knew, he was in North Carolina racing stock cars. And then Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, I believe, is a combination of Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon. Because he's got that "don't bleep with me" attitude, but he's also got the "I'm the best in the world," which is, you know, he's the best talent. He is. And, you know, he's not afraid to get up there and just run his mouth. It don't matter if it's Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano. I mean, hell, he threw a punch at Joey Logano a couple of years ago. It was great. It was fantastic. If you are watching that live, it's like, yeah. But, so that's my list of, you know, like I said, I love doing lists. It's my thing. It just is. And it is what it is, I reckon. But I want to ask a question because I was talking to Chris, about this yesterday, and I asked him point blank. I said, Chris, what kind of what kind of money? Well, let me back up. There was Syracuse played Duke this week, and Syracuse got the win. And two things that Chris and I were talking about, and I'll hit both of them. First of all, a couple of years ago, whenever Anthony Davis was on that Kentucky team, and they went all season without losing a game, and then they got into the, I believe it was the Sweet 16 is where they lost. And, you know, everybody's like, oh, they lost. They've been undefeated all year. Well, my argument is they didn't face any adversity all year. They ran through the SEC, ran through their non-conference schedule, ran through the conference tournament. Excuse me. And they faced no adversity all year. There have been 4 games at least 4, that Duke should have lost, and they've lost 2. I know there was a game early in the season against Auburn. They should have lost that game. There was in the 2 games that did lose, and most recently the one against Syracuse. That I believe that is building them for the tournament, because they're facing adversity early. They're having to come back from it and build to where they don't want to feel that. They don't want to lose again. So it's helping them once they get to that tournament. Because once you get that tournament, it's one and done. You can go in there. Ask Virginia. Last year, they went into the tournament as a 1 seed. They were one and done. And they didn't just get beat. They got their ass beat for, 2 halves, for 40 minutes. They just got whooped. So you got to know how to face adversity. And one thing about Duke is they're facing adversity right now. But, and let me tie this into this, because this is the question I asked Chris. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the kid's name, but he's 6'3", 180, and he plays for Syracuse. Jim Boeheim thought it was going to be a great idea to tell him that if Zion comes down the lane, take a charge. Draw a charge. Well, if you've seen the video, hey, look it up on YouTube. It's fantastic. He ended up halfway out the arena. Zion Williams is a big guy. 6'6", 285, maybe 290. He's a big dude, and he's a freshman. And he's going to go to the NBA next year, and he'll probably be the number 1 overall pick, which is fine. But my question to you is, because money changes everything, right? Can we all agree? Money. People do stupid stuff for money. People do some stupid stuff for money. So my question is, and y'all hit up the show, y'all let me know, because I'm really interested into what y'all think about this. How much money would it take for you at 6'3", 180 to let Zion Williams start from the other side of the court? You stand halfway in between the goal and the free throw line, and you just you just draw a charge. How much money is it going to take? Now, Chris's answer was funny. He says he enjoys his life too much. He enjoys his body too much to do that. And I'm like, there's a number for everybody. He said there probably is, but not for me. So, I don't know what my number would be. I'd probably be starting around $1 million, I would think, because there's no way I'm doing it for $20. You can forget it. There's no way I'm doing it for $500. We got to be up there in 7 figures before I'm even thinking about it. So I think I would start about 1. My top end, maybe 5, somewhere between 1 and 5 million. I'd probably do it, because you got to think about this now. We're going to let him run from the other side of the arena. And it's going to be like getting hit by a Mack truck. Dude's huge. Dude is huge. If you've never seen him, Google him. Dude is ginormous. And so I got to think somewhere in 1 to 5 million. Am I crazy here? 1 to 5 million? Is that too low? Is that too high? I'm not just going to... You're going to wake up the next morning feeling like you literally got hit by a Mack truck. You remember that truck stick on Madden? Do y'all remember that? That's you remember whenever you use truck stick and you could just run over somebody twice your size. That's what it's gonna be like. He's gonna come through here and he's going to, boom. We're gonna make contact, and I'm gonna be like dead in the middle of the floor, and y'all gonna have to find a way to open up the doors, and y'all gonna have or drag me to the door or something, so that the ambulance can take me to the hospital. Because outside of that, I think I'm dead. I mean, this dude's big, and we thought LeBron was big. This dude's huge. I mean, he was described by Jim Boeheim as, and I'm gonna try to use the word for word. He's kind of like Charles Barkley, just not as fat. It's all muscle. A dude's huge. I'm not even playing. Dude is ginormous. So there's got to be some form or some dollar figure that you would take to let Zion Williams basically truck stick you or hit stick you, if we want to use a Madden term. All right, in game, if I was that kid and Boeheim was like, hey, if Zion comes down the lane, why don't you draw charge? Hell no. You pay for my doctor bill? No, not me. You better ask the next guy, because I'm not doing it. So, but yeah, I want to know what y'all think about that. Like I said, y'all can hit up the show at GHS Sports Radio. Maybe I'll put it up on a poll question. I haven't quite determined if I'll do that yet. But maybe we can put it up on a poll question. Y'all can vote on it. What you can even add in your own. I mean, is it going to take 500,000, a million, 100 million? We're gonna do it. Somebody gonna come up with the billion? Gonna take $1 billion? It's gonna take Trump money just to get truck stick? Shoot! So y'all let me know, because I'm really interested to see what everybody think. Everybody's dollar figure. Because like I said, money makes people do crazy ass things. So I'm really, really interested in y'all's answers. So I got one more quick thing, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. God, we've been on for an hour already. So there is some Kyrie news, and I haven't had the opportunity to dig deep into it, but I do want. This is my initial opinion of the whole news. So the other night, Kyrie put up. He had 18 assists, and 18 assists. He's the leader of this Boston young team. Boston's young, and Kyrie's still young, but he's old of the young players. So he's like the senior young player. And he, after the game, first thing he did was call LeBron. And he's basically like, dude, sorry. I didn't understand what you went through. And I didn't understand what all you had to go through to be a leader and to lead us in Cleveland. And, the stress that goes to doing a job like this. And he was like, man, I get it now. So my initial opinion is, and I've been charping on this for a year. Now, before free agency even started, I was talking to Chris about this. And I think he thought I was insane. But here we are, about 6 months later. And I'll be dang what's coming down the pipe. Is the LeBron and Kyrie era over? Or could there be a reuniting coming? Because there was a text. And, during the week, whenever I'm not doing my other job, the job that, keeps a roof over my head, keeps the studio with lights on, whenever I'm doing that, I sit down and I watch First Take. Even though I'm not an ESPN guy, I don't like ESPN. I think ESPN's a joke, but I do sit down and listen to Stephen A. Smith every once in a while. I don't watch that Stay Woke show. What the hell kind of name is Stay Woke? But, but he said he received a text from somebody. And I think I know who the text came from, but I don't know this to be a fact, so I'm not going to say, yeah, it came from such and such. But listening to putting my pieces together as a an analyst or a reporter. You kind of put pieces together and figure things out. So I think I know who the text came from. I think if it's a big name person, a public figure, I think I know who the text came from, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say, oh, well, I think it came from this guy. So, but the text read this. Wow. That's going to make him come to LA a lot easier now. Whoa! You said what? You said what? Kyrie and LeBron in LA? Look, everybody on LA outside of Kyle Kuzma and LeBron is on the trading block. They'll get rid of every single one of them. I know a lot of people think they should keep Lonzo because of his defensive abilities. But if I could get Kyrie, I'd let Lonzo go in a second. Because, I mean, LeBron and Kyrie together were dynamic. It was insane. They were so dynamic. So, if there's an opportunity that this could happen, and I don't know. I mean, it's the very beginning stages of the story. Who knows? We haven't even been able to decipher just how accurate this story is. But if there's a little bit of truth to this, oh boy. Whoo! Because LeBron and Kyrie in LA, and that's already going to be a free agency landing spot. I mean, I was talking about this with Chris. I said, just think about this. I said, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I have no intel that's going to tell me, yeah, this is going to happen. But if you could get Kyrie and LeBron, Anthony Davis, and one other superstar, what? Because you know they're going for the big fish this free agency. They're going for the big fish. So if there's a way for them to, so you'll be looking at this, let's just imagine for a minute. Let's close our eyes and just picture this. So you got Kyrie at the 1, Kuzma at the 2, LeBron at the 3, AD at the 4, and is Boogie Cousins going to be a free agent next year? Oh, he is? So you could put, what? You could have Kyrie, Kyle Kuzma, who has popped this year. I didn't think it was going to be Kuzma. I thought it was going to be Brandon Ingram that popped. It was not Brandon Ingram. It was Kuzma. He popped. He is a legitimate, I'm not going to say he's a superstar, but he's definitely an all-star in the making. And then you can have LeBron, Anthony Davis, or Boogie Cousins. Oh, yeah, that's right. They've already played together once. Tell me that wouldn't be dynamic. Then they wouldn't need Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, at that case, would probably have to stay in Golden State if he wanted rings. Because I'm telling you, a team like that, they're gonna collect some rings. A team like that, and even as LeBron starts to Father Time catch up to him. I mean, because this is the first time he's had a serious injury, so age is starting to creep up on him. He would still be there, contributing, passing, still scoring a little bit. I mean, he's got his jump shot down, but I mean they could go on a 3-year tear. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year. It definitely have to be next year. Because I don't think anybody's beating Golden State this year. Not with Boogie Cousins. What? Boogie Cousins was absolutely magnificent the other night. I can't even get over that. I've just been watching that game. I felt like I was a kid in a candy store. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, but either way, y'all, I don't have, I'm going to go sit down and watch the rest of this game. Like I said, I don't have it on. Here we go. You know what? Since we're doing this on the fly, let's just go ahead and turn that thing back on, and I'll give y'all an update on that game, except for it's probably on commercial. So, giving updates during radio is really, really bad. Oh, look, that's Jeezy. It's really bad for radio, but you know what? Who cares? I'm going to do it anyways. It's my show. I can do what I want. And New England Patriots. Yep, commercial. Imagine that. So, either way, you've been in with the rant for about the last hour and some change. Like I said, y'all take a minute. Go check out Brian Badsook off of FCC Free Radio. He's fantastic. He's such a smart guy. And I can't, 17-14 entering the fourth quarter. We missed that. We've been on for that long that we have missed a quarter and a half. Wow. But anyways, y'all go check out Brian. He's a smart guy, very smart. He started out podcasting. He started out doing the Facebook videos. He started out, he's just another guy, and so he's a smart dude. So y'all check him out, and we will be back next Saturday. I did Sunday tonight simply because I wanted to be able to give y'all fresh breakdowns of what I was taking away from those NFL playoff games. So y'all tune in next Saturday night on Facebook. And like I said, y'all hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, at GHF Sports Radio, at Mr. Payton 15, at Radio Guy 15, Facebook.com/James Lassiter, Facebook.com The Sports Gurus, again until I change that name. And we will see y'all next week. You have been in the Rant on GHF Sports Radio.